So welcome back to UFOs Above Us. All right, today is June 16th. We're going to change gears and look at a moon anomalies photograph. I've shared a lot of these over the past 3.5 years. This one, we're going to focus on that crater, but we're going to also look at this central area right here and some unusual shapes, basically all over the photograph. So let's start off with the original, and we will look at a cropped version of this as well. But for now, let's look at the original version of this photo and just look at these unusual objects right here. I'm not going to dwell on them, but they almost look like letters to me. And I've shown a number of different anomalies on the moon that look similar. So the first question I want to pose to the audience and the regulators, at NASA and whatnot, is why do we not see these on the NASA photographs? And yet, time after time, people here on Earth photograph the moon and they show up. So what are they? And why aren't we seeing them on your photographs? And then kind of as I just scan through this, there's so many things we could talk about. I mean, honestly, if you look at the structures in this photograph, they are everywhere. And to me, they're unmistakable. Now, if you feel differently, feel free to comment and let me know your thoughts on this. And I keep it, as long as you keep it clean, no profanity, I'm open to all points of view. But to me, these look at this right here, for example. This one really caught my eye. You've got this unusual matrix, kind of a sand color matrix, partially obscuring this right here. How can that be explained as naturally occurring? It just has all the characteristics, I think, of something with intelligent design. But of course, I mentioned this main crater, and that's what NASA likes to call these. I have my doubts on whether they're craters at all at this point, frankly, after looking at so many photographs and so many unusual structures on the moon. I wonder if any of them are really photographs. But to get a good perspective on this, I'd like to go ahead and look at this cropped in photograph. Now, it will get pixelated, and there's no way around this. The moon is a long reach for any home-based telescope. Mine's no exception, but it does give us a pretty good zoomed in peek at what's going on in the moon. And so I would just ask you, as you look at all these shapes, and I'm going to kind of drag it across here so we can look at them all. Does that look anything like what the NASA photographs that were shown look like to y'all? Look at that, for example. That almost looks like something elevated sitting on a half circle platform right there. See that kind of the whitish half circle, and then you got, boy, almost looks like a wing and fuselage there. So that's interesting. But there's a lot of interesting things on here, and I could spend 30 minutes talking about this one photograph. But I'm trying to keep these short and to the point because basically I feel like I just keep repeating myself. Every photograph I show now with my new high-resolution gear, to me, there's compelling evidence that the moon is not at all, look at that down there to the lower left where my cursor is. Does that look naturally occurring? It doesn't to me. Of course, so many things in this photograph don't look naturally occurring. Look at that. So I do want to look at this crater, and I want to finish up here in 5 minutes or so. So let's look at that and what NASA called a meteor strike with regolith building up a kind of mound on one side because of the angle. Well, that angle is so white compared to all the gray or tannish color. And then look at this. The word I can think of is like a lattice structure. And see how that white from that edge is lighting it up? What is that? How could that be explained by a meteor strike? Now that I can zoom way in and look at finer details on these photographs, I see this sort of thing everywhere. And the question I would have for NASA, or for the audience for that matter, for the folks that do view this, by the way, as far as views go, I would encourage you all to share these out there. The folks like me who put in a lot of time and we don't ask for anything in return. I don't monetize anything. I don't collect Patreon or anything. So the only thing that would benefit me if you want to help the channel is to share it. So I would encourage you to do that. But as we kind of pan across, and I want to wrap up this fairly quickly, as we pan across this, look at that right there, for example, that X pattern. What is the natural cause that would explain having X's on the moon? And I don't think there is one. Frankly, I think these X's we see are explained in some great books on the moon. And I would encourage you, if you haven't read them already, do some research. Amazon's a good source. I'm not going to put a link on there. And I try to keep this channel where I'm not trying to get anything from anybody except share information. So do your own search on Amazon. There's some great books that explain what those X's are on the moon. I'd encourage you to read them. And look at that right there, for example. Does that look naturally occurring to you? Not me. And you know, as I look at this picture, I see them everywhere. So you could just, any location you choose, you see things that look intelligent design, and certainly not just naturally occurring structure on the moon. Not just meteor strikes either. They're two perfectly round. They have these unusual segmented sections. So for UFOs above us, this is Matt reminding everybody, keep watching the skies. The answers we're all seeking are really up there.